Hello, testing. 1, 2, 3. I think it's okay.
Hopefully it is.
I-
What's up, everybody? My name is Jesse, and welcome to the Jess Takes a Village podcast, where we focus on regular people who have used their education, whether it be formal, vocational, or even life experiences, to propel their lives in a positive direction. So I know it's been a while, it's been a couple of weeks, there's been a lot of moving parts, and I promise you guys I'll be a lot more consistent in terms of putting out, interviews, but I've been putting out the reels and the shorts and thank you guys for your support. First and foremost, I had a little accident with my dog, I guess 2 weeks ago, and I had the GoFundMe. And I just want to say thank you to you guys for the bottom of my heart for donating, everybody who participated and just giving what they could at that moment. From me and my family to you guys, everything is it's greatly appreciated. So, on to more concerning issues. My guest to the left
Hi,
actually got on a plane
I
not to
did.
come see us and me and the platform, but she stopped by in the neighborhood. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Tamiah to the platform.
Hi, everybody. I did come for you guys.
I
It was a
appreciate
priority on my
that.
list. I put it in my schedule, so
Check.
you can
Yeah.
say that.
So this has been something fairly new
hmm
in which a birthday text turned into a hey, come on the platform.
Yeah.
And I've been, seeing, social media isn't the end all be all, right?
Mhm.
But I've been seeing you make these strides in another state,
Wow.
in a new environment, in a new place. Just your networking circle is completely different. So the first thing I kind of want to open up to is what made you leave New York City? Because leaving here is very hard to do, but it
Yeah.
seems to be an easy transition for people. So what made you leave the city first and foremost?
Well, so I was born and raised here. I've always
Absolutely.
lived in New York. We grew up together.
6 houses away.
Exactly. But what made me leave, I think, was my family. So my husband is from Texas,
Okay.
and we met during college. I didn't go to the same college as him, but we met during our college years, and his college was in New York.
Okay.
Then after college, we started a family, but it was very overwhelming. Like New York was really overwhelming. While I love the culture,
Mm-hmm.
while I love my friends and the
Right.
people here, living here as a family was hard, especially as like a young family. It was difficult.
I don't want to ask a stupid question, but I want to say, why is it hard?
That's
Because
not stupid.
there are people who are getting ready to start families,
Yeah.
or people who've had families, and sometimes they feel as if they're alone in this. So for someone who
Yeah.
directly experienced and was experiencing it, why was it hard?
So it was hard because New York is not necessarily made for its people. So in terms of living expenses, considering everybody, like in order to get help in New York, you have to be like at the bottom of the barrel. Like you have to be on your back to get help. And then what you're paying for is not really a bang for your buck. So we did live in New York. Like we didn't just up and leave.
Right.
We lived in New Jersey. We lived like right at
AKA
New.
almost, yeah, the
Yeah,
sister
I
state.
wasn't
Yeah.
deep in New Jersey. I was
Right.
like North Jersey, where I went
Okay.
to college. And we had an apartment there, and it was good. We lived there for a year and a half. We even lived in Connecticut at a time while he was in the Navy. So we lived on our own in the tri-state area for a while,
Yeah.
but it just never felt fulfilling. And it always felt like no matter how hard we were working, something always came up. A parking ticket, raised rent, and the rent is raising, but nothing is benefiting. Nothing's happening. I'm not getting more space. I'm not getting more amenities.
No.
And then we have these babies. Well, at the time it was just a mare.
Right. Right. Right.
So my husband at a point, he was in the Navy. He knew he was leaving. Wasn't really for him. And he was like, yo, I feel like we'll thrive in Texas. Like, look at the costs of the rent, look at the schools. Showed me some metrics, and also his whole family's there as well. So it's not like
The support, the familiar
yeah,
support
you
is
won't
over
be
there. Right. Right.
leaving your like. Yes, I'm leaving my village, but we won't
Yeah.
be leaving to go to a completely different place where nobody's there. So I visited Texas this summer. He brought it up, and I did not want to leave. I didn't want to leave. I felt a certain like sense of peace People were kind. Things moved at a slower
They
pace.
always say that once you leave here,
Like
people are
people in
nice.
New York are mean, yo. Like really, even down to the quality of service. I can go to whether it's from getting a social security card and you're at the DMV down to if you're at the grocery store. The experience was different. It was easy. It was smooth sailing. I was considered.
That's what it is in the South. You know,
Yeah.
it's such a funny phenomenon because me and my boys, we went to go see one of our high school best friends in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, you know, we got there early. She was still doing work on her laptop. So, what were we doing? We was like, we're gonna go to the diner across the street.
Yeah.
So we go to the diner across the street. We walk in. They're like, "Hey, how's it going?" Whatever, just
I'm
warm
telling
and
you.
vibrant. But it's strange. I'm at the table. I got the chicken and waffles, and she's like, I wouldn't eat the chicken and waffles and drink lemonade. I'm like, what do you think I should get? She's like, sweetie, you need to get that peach tea. And I'm just like, and I drank it. She goes, how was it? I was like, yo, it's amazing. She goes, let me give you another one on the house. And I'm just like,
it's I don't know what it is about
probably
our
Southern
culture here.
hospitality.
It's not, it's like, yeah, Southern hospitality, but I've seen it other places as well. I don't know if it's coming from here. What I've learned is I don't know if it's like a fend for yourself kind of thing, mind your own business kind of
It
thing coming
is.
from Brooklyn,
It is.
coming from New York. But I just loved like the fact that I wasn't the only nice one. Like I've always grown up being like, oh, Tamiah, you're so nice. Like you can't be so nice to everybody. You're too nice. And I went there and I was like, I'd raise my kids here. So that's what made it easy to do it. And when I moved, I had so much more. Like for 18, like if we're talking numbers here, like when we first moved, my first rent was 1855 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. We had a balcony, we had a parking space, we had 2 pools, a gym,
Yeah.
and then I had a park. I had a walk, 3
Oh,
walking
wow.
trails. I was lakefront, and I was
Where
at
is this?
peace. Texas,
Wow.
Dallas, like,
Mhm.
and we were at peace, and we were still at the same. If not, we were at a low because my husband had left the Navy.
Yeah.
We were making less.
Mm-hmm.
I was just sub teaching. You know, like we had we upped, and like it was really
Shout
a
out the
walk of
teachers. Yeah.
a walk of faith. Like we're gonna move because here it wasn't just like on paper stressful. Like
Yeah.
our minds were overwhelmed. Like I can't describe it. Maybe as we get into more conversation, it'll come up. But it was just
Jeez.
New York just felt like consistent go, 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 and I could not take it anymore.
I mean,
I
I'm not
really
making
couldn't.
I'm not making an excuse for New York,
Yeah,
but it's like it just seems so normal the whole time.
it was
Like I
normal
don't
to
know
me.
a time where I'm not working and go 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 because it's like every morning, you know, you get up at 5. I leave the house around 7:30, and I'm
Mhm.
gone all day. I literally just come back home to sleep and record podcasts. You
And you
know.
know what it was? It was I was fine with that too.
Mm-hmm.
I was fine with that too because that's what I knew. Hustle. But when you get a taste of like the fact that you don't have to do that, like that is not the only sense of productivity, then you come back home and you're like, oh, this is gonna drain me.
But here's the trick question, though.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather be in a calm situation and less productive, or an active situation and more productive? Because here, as much as we're on go, 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 in order to survive, you need to be productive. But it seems like in other places where the living expenses is low, you don't really have to put in that same legwork and hustle. And I'm not obviously speaking
No, I
about
get
you
where you're
because
coming
I know
from.
you're gonna
I can't wait to answer.
hustle and bustle, but it's like, which one do you prefer?
So it depends on how you define productivity.
Mm-hmm.
And like even me as a life coach, coming from a place like this, you think productivity only looks like when you're on go, 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 go.
Mm-hmm.
It is just as productive to go to work, be at your 9 to 5, come home, do extracurriculars. It is just as productive to be doing that and to isolate time for rest and have space for rest and a pause. Like pause does not mean you're not being productive. And I had to learn that. Like it is productive for me to what may look like for me. I went to work today. I did everything I was supposed to do to make sure these bills are paid, make sure I feel fulfilled. But I'm also going to take time to read my word, to read my Bible. Or for my husband, it may be I'm about to go to the gym. For me, it may be I'm about to go for the gym, or I'm going to go take a walk. Living in New York, after a full day teaching kids, I did not want to walk up Snyder Ave. You don't know what you're going to see. But I appreciated the ability that there is a quiet and solitude place that I can go. Not saying that doesn't exist
and just
here,
be in your thoughts,
but I can just be in my thoughts.
Right.
I can be in my thoughts in that solitude place, planning my next move, my next hustle. So it doesn't mean like the hustle stopped. The hustle still is going.
No, I do.
It
I get
just
that. Yeah.
it just looks healthier. It just looks kinder to me and my body and my mind. Um, and I learned like I don't have to do a million things, and it stands out more. Like the New York in me, that Brooklyn hustle I have, it stands out so extensively to the point where I had to ask myself like, why am I overbooking myself? Why am I overextending myself? Like even today,
Yeah.
it's okay. Even today, like the amount of things I did.
Yeah.
And people are writing me on my DMs like, how are you in so many places?
Yeah.
But it felt normal to me. And I'm like, that shouldn't be normal. I can set 2 things for my day and be okay. So it's still in me,
Yeah.
but it's how you define productivity. Like productivity can also be rest. It can be a productive day that you
Absolutely.
took a moment to pause. If pausing is hard for you, then doing it is being productive because you have to attempt and put effort into
You
that.
see, what I noticed to be is, we're like first generation of Caribbean parents.
Mm-hmm.
So all we really know is hustle and bustle, right?
Right.
I don't really know like this whole relax for a little bit because we get to this point in our lives living here
Mm-hmm.
where it's like you accomplish a goal, next
What's
one
the next
up.
one?
But I noticed like a little space in between of where you're really just supposed to unwind, like enjoy the fruits of your labor, and then
It's
proceed on.
awareness. It's
Yeah,
awareness and it's celebrating all of your wins. Like, and not just like, oh, I won and I got this recognition or I got this promotion or I've seen like that it's accomplished. And now
absolutely.
there is a beauty in sitting and knowing where you're at. Because if you're going, 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 you never feel satisfied. You never feel like,
But does that, not to cut you, but
you're good.
does that not feeling satisfied keep the hunger going? Because I feel like
You
when you're
can,
satisfied, like even like as we eat as people,
right.
when we're satisfied, we don't want to eat anymore. Like we're good, we're done. But it's just like,
You can have so also associating satisfaction with like that's it. That's not true. You can be satisfied where you're at and still desire to be elsewhere. Like I made a post about that. Like you can be determined and hungry for success and elevation, but still be content and like aware of where you are now and like
right,
water your plants of the garden you're in now.
literally,
Right.
yeah,
Like I can know that I want a master's in mental health, right?
yeah,
And then totally celebrate that I'm certified as a transitional life coach and internationally accredited and thrive in this space and be
international, yeah,
and thrive in this space and be happy in this space and be satisfied with that I did that for myself because then I don't want to disregard what I've already done because I have a next thing in my head.
absolutely,
So like when I say satisfaction, when I say pausing and that being productive, it's a
right.
level of awareness and like giving yourself your flowers in every point so that you know when you're tired, so that you know when it's like, oh, I can keep going, I don't need to pause me, I can keep going,
Right. So obviously, I'm not asking these questions to contradict what you're
No, I
saying
like
because
the question.
I actually do, I do agree with some sentiments of it, but I'm thinking of there's a person or there are people in this world
Mm-hmm.
who, let's say they move to a new country, they don't really have the opportunity because I feel like it's an opportunity to sit there and enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
Right? What do you tell those people that can't afford to sit down? Like they work every day to even afford the room that they're in to keep.
Right.
Like, what do you tell them? Because their awareness is high.
Mm-hmm.
Their awareness is completely on like survival mode. So let's say you have a room full of people who are just trying to figure it out on a daily basis. As a life coach, which we'll delve into later,
Mm-hmm.
what's one piece of advice you would give to that group of
Right.
people?
One piece of advice is you acknowledging your successes and your productivity and your efforts doesn't always take sitting down. You need to find a way to do it. Just as you find a way to get to work and hustle every day, you need to find a way to care on yourself. Like there's no excuse and it becomes an excuse when you just tell your like would you tell if you're somebody that's working for a family or you're the first generation college student or whatever and you're like, I don't have time to stop. I don't have time to stop. Would you not want your mom to have like had a breather? Aren't you working so hard because you want to show for your mom that that's so they can rest?
That's fair.
Be that person that works that hard and knows even while you're at work, be at work and be like, yo, I'm really doing my thing. Like I'm really doing this right now. So that you don't I got tired of getting past my accomplishments and then looking back and having a conversation with somebody like you and being like, oh, I really did that. That's sad that in that moment I didn't see that I really did that.
Yeah, and I
You
really, yeah,
know?
you're
Like,
right.
so that's what I mean. I don't mean like, oh yeah, I made it. I'm on vacation. Let's take a trip. No, I mean in your car, driving to that
Absolutely.
12-hour
The shift.
shift.
Sheesh.
Like,
Yeah.
sit there and be like, yo, God woke me up this morning, or whatever you believe in. I'm present right now. I know what I'm doing. I know what it takes. I'm proud of myself. And I'm about to do better. And this is temporary. And you can acknowledge that. I don't
Very
want to
good.
do this.
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
to work this. I don't
You're
want to
right.
work this job. This is not the end goal.
It's not the end
But
all
that
be
doesn't
all.
mean that it
Yeah.
don't count.
It's a step. It's a step.
It
It counts
doesn't
as a
mean that it
step.
doesn't count. It doesn't mean that it doesn't get a award or whatever that may look like. It doesn't have to look like, let me throw a party, let me go on vacation, let me stop, let me take 3 days off. If you can't do that, that's fine. But find space in what your real looks like.
Finding space. I
What's
like
your
that.
make room? Like, what is your day to day look? If your day to day looks like, for the ladies, I go to work, I wake up, I get my kids ready for school, I go to work, I pick them up from school. This is my life. I pick them up from school. I go home, I have dinner to make, I have a husband to feed, I have a bath to give them, then I have to put them to bed. I have to take care of myself. For me, it's in the shower.
Absolutely.
What did you do today, Tamiah? Who did you talk to, Tamiah? Oh, wow, you have another coaching client? Wow. Okay, this is happening. Oh, wow. Like the day you wrote me and you're like, hey, come on my podcast. Like, little did you know, I told my husband, I was like, yo, Jesse invited me on. Like, I wish him a happy birthday. I wasn't expecting that. He invited me to speak on his podcast. And what that told me is like, I'm being brave and I'm putting myself out there for other people to see my fruits and feel open enough to put me on a platform that they take seriously and hear me speak. That is me being productive in honoring myself and saying, you're doing the damn thing.
All I want selfishly is when you do get to that level, just remember who interviewed you first. But you know, like outside of all of that, you know, so far the two elements that I've heard so far is awareness and finding space, right? So these are, as I'm learning from you, these are like the elements that feed into your success story. So here we are. We're sub teaching. You're in school, trying to figure it out, new environment. What pushes you or what propels you into a life coach?
Got it. That's a funny story. I was in nursing school. I was about to do my clinicals. I was going to be a nurse. I was at Lehman, full out. Then COVID hit. And I thought I wanted to be a nurse because, you know, my grandmother was a nurse. My mom's a nurse. That's how I grew up seeing people take care of others. And I knew I wanted to take care of others. But once I was enjoying, I love the profession. I still have some days where I was like,
nurses, the real essential
yeah, I was like, yo, me and Scrubs would be cute, you know, because I did good at that. But when COVID hit, God is something else. Like, he made me pause because I was going. I had a mare, and I'm like, what's gonna get us stable? Like, what's gonna bring the money? You're in the military. I need to be busy too. A mare got to be good. We're not gonna struggle, right? But it wasn't like passion. It wasn't like, is this what God sent me to do? And he made me pause. I was doing well. I was getting A's. COVID hit. Everything shut down. I'm home. And then I find out I'm pregnant with Aiden.
Sheesh.
And I'm like, and I still was in school. So they had us write this essay for approval of our clinicals and things like that. And my grandma proofread it. And she was like, are you sure you don't want to be a psychologist? And she didn't mean that in a way of like, are you sure you're doing the right thing? She was like, no, you would be a wonderful nurse. I think you would be memorable to all your patients because you go beyond what's asked of you.
Absolutely.
But in here, I see somebody that wants to help the mind. And I was like, and I got my bachelor's in psychology. My BFA.
Me too.
Not my BFA. My BA is in psych. And I aced that 4.0, high honors. I loved it. I was learning it, and I generally was like, wow, that's why we think like, and that's how it helped my outside relationships. And I was like, you know what? I want to be a nurse. And then school closed, and I was like, actually, I don't want to work 24-hour shifts. I don't want to miss my son's PTA meeting. I want to be at his football games.
I like parents like that.
I want to, like, I am the PTA mom. I am bringing cookies to the classroom. I want to be home to cook dinner for my family. So I can't be a nurse. That don't fit. Like, I'm married. Like, I can, but for what I wanted,
it didn't fit.
It didn't fit for my vision. I wanted to be, eventually, I want to be a stay-at-home mom, only running my own businesses. You know? So I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna like that. I'm not gonna like Amir and Aiden want to play with me, but I'm too tired because that's what I grew up with. My grandmother, my grandmother, she did it. She was there. She showed up. She did everything. My mom barely. She was at work.
But that's kind of I'm kind of like in between what you're saying because it's like when you reach certain levels of success in
Mm-hmm.
whichever field you are in, there needs to be at least one sacrifice.
But not
Whether
my
if
kids.
no right, but
For
some
me, it was like not my
no, and then
kids. Time
listen,
with my
I
kids.
respect it, but some parents do that so their kids can have accesses to like outside programs, so
Right.
their kids can get access to tutoring. Now,
And that's
granted,
beautiful. That's why I had
yeah,
access to it. That's why
right.
I lived the life I lived. And
Hmm.
I think that that is wonderful, but not for me.
And listen,
Like,
what's for you will be for you.
right.
But essentially speaking, what I've seen so far, I had a banker on a podcast. He
Mm-hmm.
sacrificed his time and his social relationships with people because he's chasing his own success.
Yeah.
Granted, in his own right, I've had one of Jasmine's friends. She's a director. That level of attention to detail,
Yeah.
you with the life coaching, there's gonna come a point, and obviously, I'm not
There
saying
is
it out there
now.
for it to be a negative. No, but I'm saying there's gonna come a point where the schedule is
Book.
booked, and you really have to sit there and say, what am I chasing? What's my
Yeah.
goal? Now, granted, obviously, with the success comes with a lot of amenities,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're able to do more for your children, but
Yeah.
that don't happen unless you work hard and something has to like
So
there's a
hear me
necessary
out.
sacrifice, right?
So hear me out. I agree with that.
Yeah,
And the coaching does take, I get home from work sometimes and I have 3 calls
yeah,
from 5 to 8.
yeah.
I have to literally, like, my husband gets home at 5:30, so I make sure dinner's made and everything like that, and then he gives them dinner, he gives them their bath, he puts them to bed. But coaching took my time for that night, you know. So there is that still happens for me, but I knew for a certain, like, the nursing career
Yeah.
was going to occupy a lot of vast hours that I would have needed to be present for particular things that I did not want to sacrifice.
I like that you actually are willing to admit that too. Because a
Yeah.
lot of people it's like, it's not for me. This, this. But
No.
it's like you're
I
really
love
out
it.
there
I
saying
wanted
like, right, I don't have the time for it
like,
because I have a family. I want to be able to I don't
and
want
I'm
to miss
okay
these
with that.
things. I want to
Yeah.
see these milestones in front of me. But sometimes just being aware, your point
Mm-hmm.
exactly, and finding that space, you're able to make better decisions for lack of better terms, right? So
Yeah.
we're still echoing the points of being aware and finding
So
space.
that's what I did there. I
Mm,
was like, okay, I know, like, I've always been the therapist friend. I've always been called like,
yeah.
I'm the one everybody's calling. So I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna go back to get my master's right now, but I do
Okay.
want to help people and I do want to help their minds. Like, God used my grandmother in that moment. So I started looking. I'm like, what can I do as a profession, as a career that can be fruitful? I can still feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose of
Right.
helping other people, that I have more autonomy over my schedule.
Absolutely.
Life coaching. I wanted a credential. I didn't want to be somebody that was out here like, yeah, I'm a life coach, I'm a fitness coach. No shade, but everybody be throwing out, I'm a coach, and
Herbalife?
I'm a, I'm a coach, I'm this, I'm that,
It's a
but you
joke.
don't see,
Yeah.
you don't see the credentials. No, I wanted, like, I'm gonna take a test. There's a paper credential. When people speak to me, they feel like they're speaking to a professional.
Right.
So within like a month or so, I found my coaching certification program, IPEC, and I enrolled, and I paid a good whopping amount of money to get my professional certification within 8 months. And I do that. I do that. And then also, I knew eventually, like, I knew off rip that wasn't going to, unless I got hired with like a, because I can go corporate. I can coach corporate.
Mm-hmm.
I can coach anywhere with my certification, but I didn't want to coach at Google. I wanted to coach. I knew who I was supposed to talk to, and it's women.
But you still have that option,
Right, but
right?
I have that option, right?
Absolutely.
So I
Very
have
nice.
option. I pick something where if I need to go and grind, I can go and grind,
Do you
right?
hear that,
And
guys? She
that's
has
why
these options. It's open, it's
it's
available.
open.
Right. And you always want to
So
keep it, you want to just keep these things at arm's length because you never know what can
you still
happen
have to
in
be
life.
mindful.
Absolutely.
So I'm not out here just like, I want to be home, so I'm not going to do nursing and I'm just going to sit at home. No,
Right.
I found something that can sustain my family.
Very
I
good.
found something that I have options to do, but also fills my cup. Like, I feel good when I'm doing it. But I also know, like, I love teaching. So end of 2020, my cousin came to me and was like, "You have a bachelor's, right, Tamiah? Nobody wants to teach right now. There's a lot of vacancies in these classrooms. Um, I need you to fill this out because I need you in a classroom. You're really good with kids, blah, blah, blah." So I got accepted as a substitute teacher with the NYC DOE, and immediately I received a kindergarten class. At I got a kindergarten class, and there was no teacher. Like I wasn't feeling like, oh, you sub, you come for the day. No, that was my like. I got there, and they were like, "This is your classroom.
Long-term assignment.
These are your books." And these were kids that it's COVID. They've never been in school. They've never been away from their parents. They've never been to daycare. And I did kindergarten teaching for 2 years in New York. And then once we were ready to move, I continued teaching in Dallas. And at Dallas, they were like, "We want you certified." Like every school I went to, they were like, "We want you certified. We're doing alternative certifications." So that's what I did. And I've taught high school, I've taught middle school, and right now I'm at Amir's Elementary School. So it's full circle because I'm watching my
Teaching.
son. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So like I'm still in a profession where I get to watch my children.
And what grade are you teaching?
Third grade.
Third. So teaching question time. Do you notice any differences between the educational standards from New York City and Texas? Before you rip us in 10, but tell me like 3 things you notice the difference between New York City. So I'm hoping to hear in New York City we do this, but in Texas we do.
Let me think before I speak.
Yeah,
I'm finding it.
Rip us.
I'm finding it.
Okay.
I'm not ripping out. I'm finding it. So you're going to find these interesting,
Right.
but the approach to students that have special needs is, I would say, way easier to obtain in Texas.
Okay.
Once they notice something, they even come to you.
Okay, good.
So
there's no
every
really
school I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Like for example, when I was teaching, to give a scenario, I was teaching in New York. I had a student. I could tell that he may have been on the spectrum or whichever, and I had to fight for that kid to even get evaluated. It took me the whole year. My son is on the spectrum.
Okay.
He is not severely autistic, but he is a genius. He just does things different. He lines up toys. Things have to be perfect, whichever. I'm a mom, I'm a psychologist. I noticed that. But his teacher was already talking to me within the first week of school. I shared what I knew, and not that about his learning capabilities, but she just noticed, like emotionally or like just in general, he was quiet. He didn't really want to speak to them. But the attentiveness. I've seen teachers in New York, even when I was a student, and they like say that kid is not smart, or they don't really pay attention to that child, or that I don't really want to deal with it. That's not my responsibility. Kind of brush off the response, like digging deeper into helping the child. Texas, they were like, "Mom, we see what you were speaking about. What works best for Amir? How does Amir like to best be spoken to? How does he like to learn at home? What are you guys doing at home? How can we implement that here? Is there something from home that you can bring him that makes him more comfortable?" Like the attentiveness to the students, top tier. Now that's not every school.
It's not.
But where I have been, and I'm not in an upscale neighborhood, okay? I am in, just being straightforward, I'm in Irving, Texas, where it's predominantly immigrants, Mexican immigrants. Most of the students do not speak English. So they have dual learning classes. So these students don't feel like I'm in an English class and I'm not thriving because I don't speak English. No, they have one day that is a Spanish speaking class and they have one day that is English.
I wish I could agree and disagree with you.
You can put your American, like I can put Amir, I have the option to say I want Amir in a dual class. So now my child grows up bilingual.
Wow.
And now his brain is working differently because he's spending days learning in Spanish and learning in English. Access to resources, man. Their devices. Every child, if they say every child's going to have an iPad, every child has a brand new iPad.
Yeah.
And then curriculum wise, they're on it. Like assessments are being given, and they're not just being given, like the preparation for assessments. Teachers have planning meetings almost every day, and they're actually not sitting there just like, "Oh, what you talking about today?" Blah blah blah. No, they're I've been in those. Like in Texas, they're actually cultivating plans and going based off what their classroom is showing, and not just like their kids are not just numbers.
How's the administrative support?
Oh my gosh, admin, especially at a marriage school, they're in the hallway all day. You see them all day. You send an email. I said, oh, I'm open to Amir being, getting a diagnostician just to see if he can get an IEP.
Yeah.
Amir is acing everything, but I want him to have resources. That's just how I am. If you can have it, get it. They responded to me within less than 24 hours. One of them saw me in the hallway. Did you see my response to your email? Admin is involved. They know their students' names. When I taught at a high school, and now if you're thinking like, oh, it's kindergarten, it's elementary school. No,
it matters.
I taught at Hillcrest High School, North Dallas. The principal, the assistant principals, they have multiple too. So like, there's like 3 assistant principals.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if they do that here.
Yes,
but I know mainly charter schools do that. But like, there's like
my
3.
School we have 3 assistants.
You got a couple assistant principals. You have a principal, and they know their kids.
Yeah.
How's your mom doing? They're in the hallway. Oh, how's this going? How's your mom feeling? Come to my classroom. So it's just very familial in their environment. They care about the families. They're like, are you coming to the town hall meeting this week, Mrs. Wester? Jeez. We're rebuilding the school. We would love for you to see how we're, building it and what we have planned for next year. It's just
a different vibe,
A different vibe. Parent-teacher conference, they actually have stuff to show for what your kid is doing.
Right.
They have these things called ARD meetings. So if your child is misbehaving, they invite the parent into the school. They have a whole meeting with you to discuss a plan, not to single out and shame your child, but it's like, how can we fix this?
How can we help?
How can we help? Right? So yeah, I think it's just like their curriculum is better. They're inclusive with families, and then like they're just on top of things. They're very intentional.
Well, here's what I can tell you. Now, I've never known you to be a liar, right? So a lot of these things, I would take you at your word as gospel, and I would say, these things are true. Obviously for certain reasons, I can't say if I disagree or agree with you because currently, but you're not the first person who've said these things about the difference between New York City and other schools.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would love personally to do research and study it one day, but it's a very interesting thing,
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting there as a teacher, you're noticing the differences in the environments, you're looking at kids getting access to resources,
Mm-hmm.
Teacher inclusivity, parental inclusivity in the
Mm-hmm.
classroom, just meetings with town hall, just, trying to get things,
in
on
order.
And going, right? But it's like, it's strange to me because I know you walking in this neighborhood or you going to that place, you're really like, where am I? It's like it
was a culture shock.
Yeah, and the culture shock, it's big.
Mm-hmm. It was a big culture shock because I was like, damn, like, does New York not care? And then like they shame the kids for how they act. Like, it made me want to almost like I want to give back to school communities. I want that to be an experience that kids in schools hear, because a lot of the kids that don't do well in New York is like because they think that the school doesn't, like, they don't care about me. They don't care about how I act. They don't care about what I go home to.
It's deeper than that too, because when so we're gonna talk to Tamiah, the parent, right now.
Mm-hmm.
When the teacher comes to you and she goes, "Hey, I've noticed these things," right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a blessing that you're actually receptive.
Yeah, a lot of parents are not receptive.
They're not. So it's like, for a teacher to come to you, there must have been like some, I gotta take a chance. Hopefully she sees that I'm only looking out for the little guy's best interest, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's like you hear these things and you go, damn, I noticed this too. And then it's like, okay, that works.
But that's not the story for everybody.
It's not.
A lot of people have stigmas. A lot of people don't accept their reality. That's that part of awareness I was talking about.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't accept their reality. A lot of people don't want to feel like they think about themselves more than their child. And that happens a lot, especially like where we're from, because in the West Indian community, like, they don't really want to hear it. It's kind of like, no, they can do it. She can do it. She can, like, and it's like, no, she needs your support. Like, it's not a matter of she's not focusing. It's not a matter of she's misbehaving or she's not following instructions. She just learns different. She's just neurodegenerative. Like, she just needs a little bit of something. And it's sad. It's sad because then they end up thinking about themselves more than their child. They're thinking about their image and what people are going to think about them.
Oh, is that the person with the thin kid? Or this kid got this? And
it's sad. And I think that it's a lot because there are a lot of kids that even if it's as simple as just like ADHD, and all it takes is them, like, it's not even medication, like it just takes a certain system, like they need a schedule, they need a routine.
Yeah.
Like it's that simple. Give the child a routine, and you'll notice that your child doesn't have a behavioral problem. It's the environment.
It is.
And
It
then
is.
being in New York is so fast paced, and there's so much going on, and everybody's on 100.
It could set them off.
It can set them off, and
it's like a
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's so strange because like I say, when you're here, you're just moving and moving and moving until you go someplace. You gotta slow down, and
That's what
it
I
happens to
said.
me
I
when I
want that
go on
summer.
vacation because it's like, even on vacation, I'm not one of those people who wake up at like 1 in the afternoon and I'm just like,
No,
I'm up early. But it's like when you wake up that early and you really get to enjoy the day seems a lot longer. Because it's like when I'm here, I'm up and I'm moving, I'm here. But it's like on vacation, it's 10 o'clock and I'm just like, damn, I got the whole day to myself.
I got the
like,
whole
there's
thing.
more.
And that's what, and the thing is, who wants, and no offense, but like, that's not fair for you to live life like that.
It's not.
God has given you a whole 24 hours to bask in, not working and tiring yourself for somebody else. Like, it's just not. It's not it. And it's okay for, like, if you have to do it, you have to do it. But like, that is not. That's why I say you have to find space, because it may not be like when you're on vacation and you have from 10 to wherever. But it needs to be like before bed, while you're having dinner, while you, I don't know, driving in your car, you listen to a podcast, you do something that makes you feel like this is my time. You need to own your time. That's when you start to feel like you can sacrifice time with your kids. Because you don't feel like you own your time. You feel like your job owns your time. You feel like your money situation owns your time. And that is not your fault. That's just that's the world we live in. That's the economy we live in.
Absolutely, right.
But it's not truth. That doesn't make it truth.
It doesn't.
You own your time.
Absolutely.
You own your time. You do not have to sacrifice your children. You can set your boundaries. It may not, nobody said it's easy. It's not wake up tomorrow and make it look like that. Your situation may not look, you might like, oh, who's this girl living in glitz and glam? Like, no, my husband and I are not where we want to be. And that's our main goal financially, we want to sit back and be like, no, we bring our butts to work.
Now, obviously, you've been married 5 years, like you mentioned before. But you keep referring, the way you're referring to your husband, right? In all these examples, it's always been you and him are just here, right? Yeah. Like there's a certain level of understanding. Yeah. Even though in real life, it's like this. But I'm saying, like, when I'm life coaching, he's doing this. Or when he said the Navy wasn't for him, I was like, yo, I need to get something going for myself. I'm always hearing this sort of camaraderie, right? And obviously I don't know him from a hole in the wall. I don't know the relationship from a hole in the wall. But what is it like having a partner that just understands the trajectory of where your lives should be going? Yeah. What's that like? I think it started because, like, we both were we're very ambitious people. Right. So like when we met, he was ambitious about football. He played D1 football. Okay. He had something he was committed to. I was dancing. I was committed to dance. We were very disciplined. So us being serious about things, we didn't have to like work through that. I didn't have to talk to him and be like, babe, like this is a priority. You need to hustle. Right. You gotta, like, no, he had that already naturally embedded in him. And then I had it in me where I was always organized. I was always timely, disciplined in like how I put things together. But we were not always eye to eye, right? Because we grew up together. We started dating at 19. We got married. I was 21. He was dating at 18 or 19. One of those. The number's correct. Yeah. We were teenagers. I was a freshman. He was a sophomore in college. Okay, that should tell you enough. So we've grown up together. Absolutely. But there was a point in our adulting phase where we just like, you figure out what works, you figure out what doesn't. Like there was a point where he was not communicating with me. Like, I'm stressed right now. The money ain't right. I don't know what to do. He was more so in that manly, like, I gotta figure it out, and he wasn't voicing it to me. So I felt left out and I felt insecure, because if you're not communicating to your wife, like, this is my plan, this is where I'm going, and I'm sitting here with like pregnant with one, another one's coming, it feels very like overwhelming. And then I'm like, what's happening? What's next? What's happening? What's next? And then you clash, because men don't like that. Men don't like you asking me every 5 seconds what I'm going to do next, and I'm honestly trying to figure it out. So he had to learn, tell your wife, like, not tell your wife as in ask her the next steps, but tell your wife, like,
this is what I'm mapping out in my head. If you could just give me a moment.
Yeah, don't ask the same question 50 times.
Like, if you could just give me a moment, would be good. But when he wasn't communicating with me, you know what I was doing?
Asking the same question again and
No,
again.
I was
No,
I was not making room for him to even step up because I come from Brooklyn. I come from, oh, I don't see it happening. It's finna happen.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'm gonna get this job. I'm gonna get this job. And no one told you to move.
That's very honest of you.
No one told you to go get that job after you just had Aiden 4 weeks ago. No one did that. But you didn't give me room to figure out the health insurance, Tamiah. You called whoever you called and figured out the insurance. Don't look at me like I didn't do it. You went because you panicked and you didn't put your trust in me and you fixed all those things. So don't look at me like I didn't do my role. So I had to learn how to be a wife because I grew up watching Jean be a nurse every day and Winston work every day, and I never watched them come together. So I'm thinking like, oh, if something's broken, like I just have to go work. And he's not from that. He really, if he had it his way, he'd be like, stay at home.
No, listen.
You know,
I mean, listen.
right?
You're too many times. People love giving off the illusion. You know, you see it online.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to use online as a reference, but
no, but that's what we have today.
Oh, you know where we got the sparkles. The
no,
but you openly now, mind you, and this is the power of words. I just literally asked you, you know, what's it like having someone, that camaraderie, being like there, and you said, you know, we were not always like that. We needed to fix our communication. He panicked. I had to learn how to be a wife. It's things like that that make these interviews so personable, and it makes the people who are watching really glued to it because it's like, finally, a human,
a real person,
not a robot. Like, you can speak about the errors that your partner
we
has
learned
committed.
by messing up.
Yeah, but you can speak on these things without bashing the person, right?
Like, yeah.
And that level of communication. So now I'm going into the third note, because first you have the awareness, then you have the finding space, then you have the communication. Communication played a part in your relationship life because no communication, no growth.
Yeah.
Right? Finding space is, okay, as successful as we are, we still need to find time to just to say, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what it is. Yeah. And then the first one, the awareness, is this is what's happening in life. So as these three elements start to come full circle, how do you notice the maturity in yourself on this career path of being a life coach?
I think I started to notice last year. I think that I didn't notice before. I was in survival mode all the way from when I was 21 to about 25. I was just doing what I had to do and
some
trying
of us are still surviving.
Yeah, we're also. Yeah, I'm still surviving.
Absolutely.
Very much. But like I was like in survival mode without like I was in autopilot. Let's put it that way. Coasting. Like the boat is above water. Cool. I was not present in a way. That's why I'm able to say these things, because I look back and I'm like, okay, I remember Amir being like, I look at pictures and I'm like, I remember him being that little, but like my mind was everywhere else. Where you say people's minds are, I don't have time to think about that. I don't have time to stop. And then you look back and you're like, dang, like I was so worried about the bills that like my memory, like I only really remember this moment because I have it in my phone. Sheesh. You know, like and so when I think when my frontal lobe fully developed,
a lot quicker than mine.
I went to my birthday trip in Aruba, and God placed it where everybody couldn't come. Like day before, my husband couldn't come no more. My friends didn't come no more. And I was by myself on my birthday in Aruba. And it was like something just clicked where it was like, you need to wake up, know who you are, and no more like, and it wasn't like I was playing games before because I didn't really have much of a life of leisure. I had to do I'm a mom. Like I was the only mom friend. I was the only wife friend. Like I didn't feel like my life had any leisure at all, actually. But it was different. It was like, you need to read your Bible. You need to start praying because your life is done looking like this. Like me and my husband had been in a rough patch. We were not getting along. That communication I told you wasn't there. It wasn't there. When you get back home, you need to like lay the land
and make changes.
And I think that's when I started to learn myself, because I went back home and I wasn't letting my situation control me anymore, or whatever the enemy was trying to do in my life control me anymore. I was like, I'm stressed. I'm going to pray about it. I wake up with anxiety. I'm going to put on some rain sounds. Like, I'm in control of my situation.
Absolutely.
Like, I can't,
It's
if
called accountability.
it's called accountability. Um, and I was like, you have this coaching certification, because by then I had it. You have this
Okay.
coaching certification. What are we going to do with it now? Trust yourself to make a business. Go ahead, put your reels on Instagram. Let people know that you're doing this, that you're no longer just the therapy friend. You are now qualified. Like, you can call me now and I'm qualified. And depending on how long the conversation is, you're going to have to pay me. Like, it's, you have to step into your truth. You have to step into what you want for yourself and like get it out from brain to like outside,
Make it
external,
tangible.
make it tangible. Thank you. And so I think through learning my roles, like I had all these roles: mom, friend, wife, daughter. Just I had all these roles.
Neighbor. Yeah.
Neighbor. I had all these roles, and honestly, everybody was already looking at me as like Tamiah, who has like a really good mindset and carries herself very well. But I didn't. They were just roles. Like they were just there. Like I didn't embody them. I feel like I was a mom and I was doing what I had to do, but I didn't embody like the power of that. So I started to embody like, yo, I'm really a wife. Like I'm really out here. I'm not in the streets. I don't have to find a man. My marriage didn't fail. Thought it was going to. It didn't. So glory be to God. We
Good.
got baptized. We both believe in God. Okay, you're a wife. How does a wife act? You need to find out because you need to keep your man. This whole you can control it kind of concept, and
I'll
like
let
that
you
was
say it. You can say it. Yeah.
that was great while you needed it, while he was going through what he was going through,
But
becoming a
now,
man, who's fatherless and who's a father
yeah,
to two boys. Like when you needed to, all right,
absolutely. Pull them up by the bootstraps.
it's okay. That's done now. How are you submissive? Who are you as a submissive wife? Who are you as the mother that just does what she needs to
Be
do?
careful because the feminists are listening. They
No,
gonna attack
I
you
think it is
for.
so feminine, and I will say it with pride. It is so feminine to be submissive. I
You can say that
love
again. You can say it
it
again.
is so feminine to be
Right.
submissive. I love the thought that like, no, I don't want to look at the light bill. I don't. There was a point where I wanted to see everything. I wanted, how are we going to pay for the rent? How are we going to do this? Well, no, that stress. Think about it now. Makes me ick. Like, yeah, I'll go to work. We have a joint bank account.
Yeah.
A lot of people look at me like I'm crazy. What? You have what? Yeah. Yeah. So that he can just like, fine. You don't need to ask. We don't have to have those money conversations. How much money is in your account? How much? No, we have one account. His paycheck goes there. My paycheck goes there. He arranges the auto pays. They go out. Even down to him saying like, "Hey, this is your spending this month." Like I'm that. I'm to that. It's like growing up. I'm like, oh, I'm that girl.
The
I am
format.
that
The
girl.
format.
The format is being laid out, and in that format, when my husband created a format for me as his wife, because you become one, I was able to be like, oh, this is who I am. Oh, I'm Tamiah, and then now it's fully being embodied. Like what you're seeing now, when I'm posting on Instagram, is me like, okay, I've owned it. I got myself a coach. So the coach got
As a
herself a
coach,
coach.
yeah.
Shout out to two. But I got myself a coach to really like own who I am, because I had imposter syndrome. Like two was like, yo, Tamiah, you hold a Bible study every week for like 20 plus girls that are in like Atlanta, um, Jersey,
Yeah.
Connecticut, all these places, and they come on and you're there and you're reading the word and you're breaking it down. You do that. You've coached other women. You held a workshop for my business. You teach. You certified. Like that's really who you are. Like because we were right. She was like, write a bio because you're gonna have whatever you're gonna have. Write a bio, and I was like, all I really knew how to talk about was what I overcame. But she's like, you didn't edify yourself. Like I couldn't edify myself. So I'm learning how to do that, and I'm still becoming and I'm still figuring it out. But it took, like you said, a format. When there was no format, when there was no Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior, and it was just Tamiah, like out here trekking it and hustling and bustling and not finding room and making space and resting and having awareness, I felt drained. I felt tired. I felt lost. I felt like I was doing everything, but it was just like there. And I got tired of that. I got
You
real
really
tired of
just
that.
you took the next question because my next question was gonna be, what does faith mean to you, and how has it gotten you through some of
Yeah.
the darkest times? But clearly,
Faith, oh my gosh, faith means to me that I do not have to carry it at all. Like literally, I don't have to carry nothing at all. Any problem that comes to me, it's not mine to carry. I can give it to God. I literally have accepted that I can let go of the wheel. I was a person that needed control. I wanted to know what was next. When I didn't know what was next, I was
Panic.
panicking.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I just was like, this is not my life. This is the life that God gave me. Where I'm going is I'm set to go. If I'm not supposed to be there, He will redirect my path. Like when I was deciding to move to Texas, I called one of my cousins, and she was like, Mia, if you meant to be there, you'll stay. If not,
Absolutely.
He'll just bring you back, bring you wherever you
Get
got to
up and
be.
go.
And
Right.
that's what faith is to me. Like, if I'm meant to be there, everything's going to work out in my favor. God will never put me in danger. There is an enemy that is fighting against me every day because I believe in God, because I pray, because I have faith, and my God's bigger. So I don't sit here and I don't ponder.
The level of security that comes from
Right.
having faith is actually something to speak on too.
Yes, like there's so much security. I think that when you rely on yourself, there's no security there because you're still learning yourself.
Yes,
You
yes,
cannot. Okay,
yes,
rely. Let me
yes,
rephrase
yes,
that. Let me
yes, yes,
rephrase
yes.
that. Rely on yourself solely.
Yeah, yeah. Because you could trust yourself to do the right thing
Yes,
sometimes.
you need to know yourself.
Sometimes,
You need to
right? You
have
do
self
to an
trust,
extent,
self
but
confidence. That matters.
absolutely.
Please don't miss. But when you are solely like, you wake up, you ask Jesse what to do next. You wake up and you're like, oh, this new job. Okay, Jesse's deciding to do the new job. No, you need to take a moment and be like, God, is it your will for me to be in this space? Is this where you want to use me? Because then you'll go and He'll let you go there. He's let me go places. He's let me, oh yeah, I want to do this. I want to leave. And then you get there. And then now my husband's telling me, like, you got me home being a mother because you decided to go to work in New York when we live in New Jersey, and you go to work from 5 a.m. to 3
Let
p.m.
me tell you,
every
sometimes you,
night. And I was like,
yeah,
oh, I thought I was helping.
nah.
No, I want to go to work. I don't want to be home with the newborn and the 1-year-old. That's your job. And I was tarnishing my marriage, and I didn't know why, because I didn't seek counsel.
It was so it's to the point you made about sometimes God lets you go places. I remember there was a period in my life where I'm sitting there and just trying to figure out the next step. As every young man, I went online, and one of my cousins, he got a job through this recruiter lady. So I was just like, yo, you know what? Let me test my hand out too. So I remember we go to the orientation. It's just so funny to even say it out loud. So I go to the orientation. I put on a button up, belt, slacks, shoes, haircut. I go there. And everybody's in sweatpants. But the orientation is for OSHA, right? So I'm just like, I might as well just do some manual labor just to keep a couple dollars in my pocket. So they like, Jesse, we really like you. We want to move you on to the next step. So it was like, you have to go to our home office in the Bronx, or 149th Street. So I remember I go to the Bronx. I think it's 149th and 3rd Ave. I go up there, dressed up again. I walk in. They're like, who are you here for? I'm like, I'm Jesse. I'm here for the interview, for the OSHA thing, whatever, whatever. So they're going to give me the card, the certification. I'm like, okay. So they was like, they just wanted to talk to me. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. So the guy, he goes, you Jesse? I'm like, yeah. He goes, come
I'm
in.
already laughing.
So I sit down and he's like, why do you want to work for my company? I'm like, yo, I didn't say yo, but I'm like honestly, I have a very good work ethic. I have my resume here. I've usually stayed with a job for a long time. I'm very cautious. I'm careful. I'm extremely punctual. This is something I see myself doing. I come from a family of people who are, manual laborers, blue collar workers. He's like, damn, man, I like you so much. You know what? I think this will be a good fit. So I'm sitting there like, oh, He goes, yo, just sit there. We're gonna bring you the paperwork to sign. So I'm sitting in the corner. I'm like, yo, like I got it. Like I'm good to go. Then these two ladies walk in. They sit at the table. They start calling people. I'm in like the side of the office. The lady looks at me. She goes, excuse me. I'm like, how's it going? Good afternoon. She goes, we're calling names. Like, are you on the list? He goes, what's your name? I'm like, Jesse. Like, oh, what's your last name? I'm like, yo, Jesse such and such. She goes, oh, we called you. I'm like, no, no, no. I'm like, I interviewed already. She was like, we called me. You didn't come up. I'm like, no, I interviewed already. I'm not saying it like a nasty. I'm like, no, no, no. Like, I interviewed already. Like, I'm good. She goes, why you keep saying, like, you're good? Like, where is this coming from? I'm like, I just met with the manager. And the manager just sat there, interviewed me or whatever. It was like the manager. It
No,
was
this
like,
was a
who's the
fake person.
manager?
Was this
They
a
was
fake
like, who's the
person?
manager? I'm like,
Was this a fake
Mr. Ed. Let's just call him Mr. Ed because I don't want to get sued. He's like, oh, Mr. Ed. So the girls, they give one of these to each other. And she like, sorry for the younger viewers. She was like, he did this shit again. Why he just don't understand he's just the janitor? What is he doing? I'm like, what?
Cannot.
I'm sitting there like, what? She goes, see, he asked you why do you want to work for his company? I'm like, yeah. He always says that. He feel because he cleans the place, he owns the place. And he actually dresses up like a boss. I'm like, I sat there, mind you, they gave me the card, they gave me the certification, but I'm just like, I'm never coming back here again. I'm never coming back here again. So I understood when you said sometimes God just said, yeah, go on experience. I'm like, yeah, I'm going back. Yo, that was like the quickest. I was there for maybe 2 to 3 hours. Literally Monday, I just went back to teaching. I was like, that's not for me. That will never be for me. I don't want to find a space. I don't want to be aware. I don't want nothing with that. I don't want nothing with that. And I'm just like, what was that?
Can't.
But
What
that
was
just
that?
it just goes to tell you how the tricks and the games
Gimmicks,
that life will play
yeah.
you, just to set you kind of like,
back on, like, go back to where you was at, please.
Go back to where you were
I did not tell you to move.
And find solace.
Yeah.
So with this being the Jess Takes a Village podcast,
yeah,
we also tend to focus on the members or the people of your village who've helped you get from, point A to point B, C, D, E, and whatever. So, and listen, obviously I know you can't run through the whole list.
Yeah.
But who are some of the members in your village that have really said, you know what, like, we got you. You don't got to trust yourself too much. Lean on us. And not to quote the book, but don't lean on your own understanding, right? But, lean on ours. So who are like some of these people who really said to me, we got you. Like, keep going.
My grandma's for sure. My dad, like when I got pregnant with Amir, my dad really was like, I got you. Like, I'm here. Good. Like, you're my daughter, I got you.
So grandma,
my dad, and then friends wise, my best friend Carisha, my best friend Brianna.
Shout out Brianna.
Best friend Shannon.
Shout out Shannon.
I would say they are like top tier when I was, didn't know how I was gonna get through, crying, postpartum depression, all of that. Like, they were like, you are going to keep going. You're gonna keep going, and we got you. Do you need us to watch the boy? Like, it looked like you need us to watch the boys. I almost passed away having a mare, and Carisha dropped everything, and she never drove to New York in her life before. She lives in New Jersey. She drove her rinky-dink Mazda through the Holland Tunnel and was at NYU Langone in the city as soon as she got the text. And when I woke up, that was the first face I saw. And Brianna did the same thing. Like, damn. Literally, those are people that anything falls apart, anything is like, I can call on them and I know like they'll be right there. No Sounds question, like no doubt. They're Sounds literally like my family.
Sounds like family.
And my husband.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's a guarantee. Yeah. You only reference him like 1,000 times, but it goes to show you that, the village really helps raise the person. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't be anything I am without the village. That whole self-made, did it by myself. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. It's been impossible. Yeah. What a journey, huh? Yeah. So obviously, when this does come out, I'm obviously gonna post your Instagram credentials on the bottom, just so people could click the bio, see if they could reach out to you, just to serve as more of a networking purpose. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure you already got that down packed, but it's always good to have multiple modes of, networking. Of course, yeah. Is there anything else you would like to share with like the viewers watching? Maybe a little bit of advice? Some gems on how they can reach you, like your contact information? So I am a certified transitional life coach for women. If you are looking to face your life head on, maybe you're feeling displaced, or just like you want to take control over your life, you want to feel confident, empowered, find your purpose, then come to me. I do so much, honestly, workshops. I speak with you one-to-one. I provide resources, tools, workbooks. So hit me up. I do free discovery calls too. So your first call with me is free. See that? Your first conversation is free.
You can find me on Instagram at the Coach Mia, TheCoachMiah.
It'll be right here on the bottom.
And
Yeah.
also my link tree is linked there, and which is
Mhm.
linked to my booking page if you want to talk to me.
Which will be in the bio too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I'm on YouTube. I will be back on YouTube with videos soon. And I'm on TikTok at the Coach Mia as well. But I'm a girl's girl. DM me.
Reach out.
Reach out. If you're not ready to book a discovery call and speak to me on Zoom yet, write me. I do Bible studies on Zoom, on live. It's free. You're welcomed. DM me if you want to do that. But yeah, that's it.
Seems like you really just been on like a positive, vibrant shift in your life.
Yeah.
Because one thing I would say is every time I am scrolling through, the stories of even all my friends on the gram, you're always like smiling. And it's a certain level of, radiance that comes with it.
Thank
But
you.
I also see you always talking to the people. And obviously, to be selfish, like if she's always talking to people, why not just have her talk to me about her talking to people on, the platform?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked. Like, thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for extending. Like, you honestly were part of the fuel that has me like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I share with you. Like, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
for everything I want.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm gonna network.
As
I
you
think
should.
I was nervous to network with people, but I think this breaks that shield. And I'm glad I did it here. I love your podcast. I love this
appreciate
sense
that.
of
Thank you.
conversation and the space that you create for people to just share what their day-to-day life looks like. A regular day-to-day life.
And this is what we've been trying to push here on
Yeah.
the platform, because it's like I'm tired of seeing the gurus that go, yeah, buy the first house, put the money now, and go
It's
and get
so
another house and then
overwhelming.
another house, and I'm just like,
It's so overwhelming. Like, where's the starting point?
where's the middle ground? Where's this relationship messed up because I was chasing this?
Yeah.
Where's the I lost faith? Where's this happened to a close friend? I needed to be here. People just have to get back to being people and being personable again. It's bigger than the internet, Yes, our careers, and we have that in common, they revolve around, the internet, but we're also promoting the message of, listen, it's okay to work, but let's get some of that control back, listen, we're all players in the game, but you have players and you have coaches.
Exactly.
And the coaches get to the point where they're able to instruct, because there's things that, and I consider myself a player, a part of, the life's game, not a player, but disclaimer.
Ladies, is he on the market?
I am. But the thing about it is there's certain things that coaches could see that we can't.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we're stuck in our own ego.
My job is literally to ask empowering questions that help you get the answers that are already within yourself. Like, imagine, like, if you have a map, you have the map in your hand, I have like a flashlight. So you already have the path, you already have the ways, but sometimes, like, when you're in your own head, you're not seeing the direction. So I'm like a flashlight that's just like, how about we look over here? How about we look, like, did you see this part? So that's why people like me exist, not to tell you what to do, but to be a support and hold you accountable. Coaching is about accountability. So you say you're going to do something, and it's accountability the way you like it. Coaching is a relationship. It's not like I tell you do. It's like, how can we make this work best for you? So
absolutely.
If you need that support, that companionship, accountability, like, I'm here. I'm your girl.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the Instagram is at the Coach Mia.
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming on the platform.
Thank you, Jesse.
This has been an experience.
Yes.
And it's just like that, people. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Just Takes a Village podcast.